Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. In breaking news, leading scientists worldwide are conducting experiments to determine if Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolate. However, it appears the study was inconclusive, as the scientists couldn't help but eat all the Reese's. Because when you want something sweet, you can't do better than Reese's. Find Reese's now at a store near you.
Welcome to the Travel Squad podcast. We adventure the world together, one passport stamp at a time.
We're here to share travel news, tips, and our own adventures with you.
Every Travel Tuesday, we share stories on a variety of topics, including our hometown San Diego, hiking, weekenders, national parks, international getaways,
And inspiring you to go on your own adventures, even if it starts with your own backyard. I'm Jamal.
Brittany, and I'm Kim.
And we're the Travel Squad podcast.
So grab your ticket and your passport.
And don't forget your travel insurance.
And prepare for takeoff. Hello, fellow travelers. Hey, squaddies.
Hey.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Travel Squad podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Brian Payne from Furnished Finder. Furnished Finder is a midterm rental platform for digital nomads, remote workers, traveling professionals, and even travelers who decide to extend their vacation into a lifestyle.
In this day and age, travel and living have merged, and Furnished Finder has furnished apartments, homes, and rooms available to rent. So whether you're a solo traveler or a traveler needing an entire place for your family, Furnished Finder has you covered. In this week's episode, we talk with Brian about how Furnished Finder got started, the solution it brings to this modern lifestyle, and how you can benefit as a renter or even an owner.
This was such a good conversation with Brian. We got into the perks of midterm rentals for travelers, saving money on midterm rentals, which is so important. And like Jamal said, how to start generating travel funds from a room or a home that you own that you want to start renting out for midterm leases. If you've ever been thinking about starting a side hustle like this in this space, then get your notepad ready because there are a ton of good tips in here. I wrote down so many notes and Brian references many resources that they have. So without further ado, let's get into the interview with Brian. Hello, Brian, and welcome to the Travel Squad podcast.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Thank you.
We're so happy to have you too. You are the founder and creator of Furnished Finder, this truly amazing furnished rental platform. We're thinking Airbnb, but longer term, specifically for remote workers, digital nomads, and travelers who've kind of decided to extend their vacation into more of a lifestyle, and even those that may work in the travel healthcare field. It's been around for quite some time, and we know it's growing in popularity. We're hearing a lot more about it, so we're really excited to have you here today. We want to get into all the details on what it is and where it's going. But before we jump into that, we want to go all the way back to the beginning and hear what inspired you to bring this solution to life.
Yeah, well, again, thanks for having me. Really happy to be here. Love what you guys are doing. And travel is in a really unique state right now, and we're really happy to bring Furnished Finder to, your audience and digital nomads, remote workers, people who are just extending and want to stay in one place for months at a time. We definitely help with that. So, where the idea from Furnished Finder got started was early on. My wife and I were getting married at the time, and we put her furnished condo up, and we wanted to judge the response to figure out who's out there, or is there a demand for furnished rentals. Obviously, around that time, it's 2010, 2012. Airbnb is definitely gaining traction, and we definitely knew that there was a market for short-term rentals, but the term mid-term rentals wasn't really coined yet. But that's what we were doing, and so we fell into that to where maybe a travel healthcare tenant would stay with us for 3 months, and that was pretty sweet because we all had W-2 jobs at the time, and so we were just hey, let's put in a travel nurse into this property. And then it just so happened that they kept renewing, or the company would put in another worker right after that. And then we worked with all different industries as well. And so essentially the idea for Furnished Finder was born in that, hey, we can only own so many properties, right? But there's a greater need. And we started to see not only in healthcare, but then all these other types of industries that, the vacation rental market didn't really fit what they were looking for. They're looking for, a 1, 2, 3 month stay, and maybe longer, because we're starting to see those lengths of stay lengthen as well. But we just knew that the platform wasn't there, wasn't built, wasn't available, and vacation rentals didn't really fit the need of travelers looking to stay, for a few months at a time.
I love that. It's born organically and it's evolved quite a bit since. So let's fast forward from 2010 into present 2023. You mentioned that people are renting for longer. What length of stays are you seeing more of now?
Yeah, so now it's a different approach. Obviously, we're in 2023 at the moment, and we're starting that leisure travel and work travel have merged completely. So this is what we're seeing, and remote workers are here to stay, and travelers like us are driving this. Workers like us are driving this industry and saying, look, we don't have to be tied to a desk or an office that we're sitting in for 5 days a week. It's just things have changed, and the new way to work is here. We're using technology right now, and technology has changed. The pandemic has changed our mindset on, hey, yes, we can be productive remotely, right? So yeah, things have changed quite a bit in terms of how we live, how we work, how we socialize. And honestly, the global industry of travel itself is just seeing profound implications just based on our mindset of travelers. So what we're seeing in terms of length of stay is people are also choosing a new way to live. And there's a lot of people are looking at it and looking at Furnished Finder and going, well, I could get an unfurnished 12-month lease for, let's just say $2,000 a month, just round number. But for not much more, I could have greater flexibility, a shorter lease term, and everything is already included in terms of utilities. It is already turned on. You don't have to set those up, and everything's furnished. So you move in, you have more flexibility to encourage our travel lifestyle, our habits. We love travel. My wife and I went to Patagonia earlier this year, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Like it was something for me that was just magical and something that I'd wanted to do for a long, long time. So we were able to make that happen because of, the remote lifestyle. We definitely worked a little bit here and there, but yeah, it's just things have changed and merged, and people are looking to stay in places longer. So anywhere from 3 to 6 months now, where basically it was before kind of you're just tacking on a few days on a work trip on the front end and the back end. It's now going, people are going, well, we can live in one area of the country for 3 to 6 months, and we can live in 3 to 6 months in another area of the country. So yeah, people are just thinking about living differently on this side of the pandemic in 2023.
Well, I know you use that coined term, mid-term rentals, and he said, it's not quite there. So you gave us a little bit of distinguishing factors between the more common Airbnb that people know about, right? Short term, you could rent even just 1 day, for example. So for you guys with Furnished Finder, give our listeners an idea in terms of length of time. Can you book by the day, or Is it week or is it month and beyond and month and a half? So that way people can get an idea of if they want to do that remote and I only want to be here 1 month. Do I need to be there 3 months? Because you use that as an example. So
Sure. So it really depends on the property. We have about 250,000 properties on the map. Now, these are our own properties. That these are landlords or real estate investors, property managers that have listed on Furnished Finder for the specific purpose of renting to travelers. Typically, our platform is around monthly, but you can absolutely find properties on there that dabble in nightly or weekly as well. So we're definitely longer term than Airbnb. However, it is a thing to where you're able to go on, you're able to find properties, and you're able to connect directly. And the best part is you're not paying booking fees, right? So the booking fees are a sticking point. It's always been with me. I'd always try to go around booking fee platforms if I could. And sometimes you just go, wow, this place is worth it, right? And you pay. But if you're able to find that property manager and book direct, we would always do that. And that's what Furnished Finder does. It allows landlords to connect with the travelers. But on the traveler side, there are no booking fees that you're paying the platform.
How about cleaning fees? I know that's a big point of contention with Airbnb right now.
Yeah, I mean, cleaning fees are fairly expected, especially in monthly rentals. So yeah, you should probably expect a average cleaning fee.
And I think that's more reasonable too from, a 2-month rental than a 2-day rental.
For sure. I mean, honestly, you're dealing with two different types of tenant types, right? So on let's say the 4-night rental, you could be dealing with vacationers and frankly partiers. So it can absolutely go, oh gosh, in 4 days, holy smokes, trash is overflowing. We've got a broken lamp, we've got there's stuff on the wall. Like, oh gosh, what happened in here? And monthly travelers, they're there for a reason. They're there to work, or they're there for another reason. And there is typically a different type of tenant. So I get the whole cleaning fee after a party weekend. And I'd argue that monthly travelers take better care of a property than a vacationer.
Absolutely. You mentioned 250,000 properties. Are those all in the U.S.?
Yeah, right now we're a U.S. platform. Furnished Finder is growing and will be in 3 other countries in probably the next 12 months or less. But yes, there's a great need worldwide for monthly furnished rentals. And like hotels are using us, big property managers, apartment complexes are using us, and even down to, real estate investors using Airbnb that really understand their market are definitely using Furnished Finder.
You teased out 3 new locations. Is there any way you could give us a sneak peek into what those countries might be?
Yeah, so we will be heading into Canada, UK, and Mexico.
Very nice.
Is our focus, and there's just so much more. Like with digital nomads, you're getting a lot of countries and regulators that are pushing for more of that digital nomad lifestyle. And yeah, I mean, some are even in the pan-European area that they're really looking for that kind of a larger area based digital nomad visa. So that's really interesting to us as a company. And I think there's also a lot of companies that are really kind of working towards using us in addition to their normal season. So say Airbnb, you have a lot of Airbnbers. It could be property managers. It could be apartment complexes that are working towards the targeting travelers, and they really understand the area, but they use Furnished Finder in a way that really helps them during their slow seasons as well. Lots of people, a lot of the property managers are really targeting the midterm rental tenant as a new business strategy as well. And that's what we are as travelers. We're that midterm rental space. And back to your point about length of stay, it could very well be a few weeks, but typically it's a month, 3 months, even 6 months.
Going back to what you said about the progression of the pandemic and how people are evolving their work life, travel life, lifestyles, I really do resonate with that a lot as a remote worker that was forced into this lifestyle because of the pandemic and never looked back. You have to start building trust a little bit. You get comfortable working from home, and then you get comfortable working from the pool. And then I took a week and went to go visit my grandparents and worked from their dining room table for a week. And that was such an amazing experience. But you realize you can socialize with family while working. You could lay by the pool while working. And so I feel like you're right in that space where people are getting comfortable, where they're maybe now ready to test the waters for 2 weeks in a destination. Can I work on vacation? And then
Right.
can I work from maybe down the road another country for a month or move to other countries?
Yeah.
Question for you on this, though, coming in on the other side of things, you start to hear reports of companies who are cracking down, in my opinion, unnecessarily so, on workers who aren't in their home base.
Yeah, it's a great point, and we know that companies are really trying to do the back to office thing. Earlier on, I mentioned that the power is in the worker,
Yeah.
right? The power is in the traveler, and the smart companies are realizing, in my opinion, that work has changed. And you could definitely try to put the genie back in the bottle, but I don't think it's happening. And I think the smart companies are going to realize it and embrace the travel lifestyle, really make that part of their company culture one way or another.
Oh,
I know
I love that. I am in full support of that. And it's companies like yours that are going to help give more power to the people.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, employment has been up and down. I know in tech and in other industries as well, to where, there's an expectation that I'll be working remotely and I will be productive because I've proven myself as a worker to be productive, and I can do it remotely. And frankly, it's a non-starter. If this is a non-remote job, of course, there's some travel. Of course, there's some on-site meetings, things like that. But primarily, I think workers are expecting to have primarily a remote type of position.
Yeah.
Not everywhere, but that's changing. I mean, there was the chief commercial officer from American Airlines was talking about the difference in, and this is a recent Skift article, like historically about 20-25% of their trips were kind of blended, like business and travel. And that is now over 50% of every flight of American Airlines is that blended travel. So it's happening right in front of us. And it's not just, a few companies or, a small industry saying, no, we want to stay remote. It's sending shockwaves through the travel industry. And I think the smart companies will embrace it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So for someone that might be interested in the midterm rental, maybe they want to explore a couple destinations over the next year. When they're looking at Airbnb possibly, and then Furnished Finder, we've talked about some of the fees, and those are some of the perks. From the house rental perspective, are there any additional perks people should know about when renting with Furnished Finder?
I mean, it's about that flexibility lifestyle, right? The flexibility is the most important amenity for any property, I believe, especially in the younger generation of workers. They expect that flexibility. And yes, you could be tied down to a 12-month lease where you need to go and turn the electricity on and pay for garbage. And then you've got to go buy a couple TVs, a couple couches, a couple beds, and all of that. And then, well, what if you want to go to Greece for 3 months? Then you got to put that stuff in storage. Like, it's no longer that we're tethered to our stuff. That's the way our parents rented. This is a different era. This is a different time. We're thinking differently in that, look, we could just pop into a monthly furnished rental on Furnished Finder. You're good for 3, 6 months, 12 months. Like, landlords want, people to stay there for longer periods of time. And then you can go, okay, come, August, I'm going to eject and I'm going to go here for 3 months. And then I'm going to come back and find another rental. Like, our lifestyle is changing. And in terms of funding this travel lifestyle, I do want to recommend or at least talk about the opportunity of becoming a landlord. Like, I don't know if people have thought about it. I don't know if you guys have thought it. Maybe you already are. But what people are doing in our world of midterm rentals, that's the term we coined and started this industry. We actually have a midterm rental summit that we just had our first in-person meeting in San Diego, which was widely successful. And what people are doing is they're either renting properties they already own, or they're putting a property under lease, they're furnishing it, and they're renting it to travelers at a higher price called, it's an arbitrage model. either way, we have to fund our travel habit somehow, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
being a world traveler, it doesn't come cheap. And in addition to the money, you need that freedom in order to take a couple weeks, a couple months off.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hard part, is that freedom, right? So think of, Furnished Finder as a vehicle for you as a traveler to consider, well, maybe this is my vehicle to fund this travel lifestyle. So you can become a landlord on Furnished Finder. Very, very easy to do. We have tons of resources to help new landlords, just like you, to rent out either a room. It could be maybe you buy a condo, or maybe you lease an apartment, and then, with the proper, just make sure you're upfront about what your intentions are to the apartment complex, but you're able to get a lease, put furniture in it, and then rent it out to at a higher price, and you're making $400,000, $600,000, $800,000 a month on one unit, and people do this to the tune of hundreds of units. Like, the midterm rental space is here to stay, and it's got legs. It's the darling of the real estate industry right now. So real estate investors are buying property specifically to rent to monthly travelers like you guys. You can absolutely make money, make that recurring income to fund this lifestyle as well on Furnished Finder if you're interested.
Yeah, last night as I was actually prepping for this interview, I was taking a look at some of the properties on Furnished Finder, and there's actually 4 rentals in the condo community that I live in that we currently.
Oh, is that right?
And so Jamal and I last night, we were talking about, well, we have an extra bedroom. We could absolutely rent our extra bedroom on Furnished Finder. It's not a long-term commitment. They're probably going to be there 1, 2, 3 months.
Right.
And then you're not having to commit a whole year to having someone as a roommate, essentially.
Exactly. They're travelers, so they're coming, like a couple months, and then you get your place back, and that's just renting a room. I mean, what if you save some money and get a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom or something like that? There was an article in Fortune yesterday where we were mentioned where this girl, Jennifer Ramsey, she's 23 years old, and she bought a house in Cincinnati, and she's making $400 or $500 a month specifically just by furnishing it, and she put it on Furnished Finder. So she's one of our customers, and she's her goal is to make enough money to be able to buy a multifamily. So she wants to maybe buy a duplex or a fourplex, and then she wants to live in one and then rent the other one or other 3, depending if it's a duplex or fourplex, and then essentially everybody who's paying her rent everyone who's paying her rent is paying her mortgage, and then she's making money on top. So eventually you're going to earn money not only on the revenue, but also on, the appreciation of the asset. So essentially, the earlier you start, getting into this, and you can absolutely kind of trade up to property types, and the higher you go, the more rents you're going to make, and then the more freedom you're going to have.
Yeah, and Brittany had mentioned what we were looking for, that extra room. But of course, I want to make sure everybody who's listening knows that there's fully furnished, independent. You could get your own place, but you can see sometimes just rooms listed on there. But Kim asked a little bit ago, and I kind of want to touch on this. She kind of asked for like a distinguishing factor between Furnished Finder and Airbnb, and you touched upon it. But I feel like a lot of our conversation too has been really on remote workers, but we really haven't touched upon travelers too, of people like, I just want to live here or be here for a month or 2, then go on to the next spot. And I think one of those distinguishing factors maybe that we haven't touched upon, and you can maybe inform us on this, of course, like a platform like Airbnb is more catered to like daily rentals, and daily, if you're staying there for a month, is definitely going to add up. The rents and prices that I saw on your guys' platform are more aligned with what true rents would actually be. So I feel like people would actually save a lot more money. And this is also something great for travelers who want to stay, remote work or not, in a place for a month, two before they move on versus a hotel or Airbnb where they'll be charged a lot more on a daily rate.
Yeah, no, I mean, you absolutely nailed it. There's tons of other traveler types that are looking, for monthly furnished rentals, and it's not just a vacationer. It could be a family that's going through a relocation. Maybe they buy a house, sell a house. Maybe they're redoing their house, and it's just going to take 3 months, and they're going to tear everything up. They don't want to live and breathe all the dust, so they're going to, pop into a Furnished Finder for 3 months. But on the traveler side, yes, tons of business travelers use us, but with the difference between Furnished Finder and Airbnb, it's more of a direct model. So you're going to go direct. We allow you, the tenant, to go direct to the landlord, and that is really appreciated. I think a lot of the travelers like that. They get to know who they're renting from. It's not just an online book necessarily. A longer term tenant kind of may come with like a tenant screening report or a lease. So I would expect maybe some sort of a lease. But again, back to that flexibility, it's probably very well could be a month-to-month lease. So all you need to do is provide 30 days notice, and you have that flexibility to pick up and head to that other side of the country or wherever you would like to go. But yeah, we take a different approach. We use Airbnb. We love Airbnb, and Airbnb is a partner of ours. So
Wonderful.
yeah, it's a new partnership. Not too many people know about it. Not very public right now, but they're absolutely a partner. We're working towards a partnership with them, and they have their model. We have our model. Ultimately, again, since travel and leisure and business have merged, all types of inventory are being consumed across the board.
You were really starting to pique my interest on the business opportunity side of things. I recently started renting my car out on Turo because I'm one of those remote workers. Yeah. I'm not using it too much, so I'm making a few $100 a month just by doing nothing. So I'm definitely interested in this. You mentioned earlier you have tons of resources for people that are interested in potentially renting their home or their rooms. You mentioned a summit. What other types of resources can people find on your site or through the summit?
Yeah, I mean, you could download the new landlord guide that gives you kind of soup to nuts, gets you started. If you're just looking into this, going, I didn't think about this. I could rent my room. I could rent my my back house, my basement, my above garage unit. I could rent all of these things. Maybe you just go, look, I want a handful of units. Like I really see a path to this freedom to fund my travel lifestyle. Well, this is exactly what you can do. This is there's tons of people that do that. So yeah, it's really fun. It's unique. It's I know we're in a higher interest rate time, but that should not stop you because ultimately you can still get qualified, and it doesn't have to be a beachfront condo or a beachfront mansion. Like this you could just find a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom, 1-bath, something like that, to where it's manageable for you, and you can get started in this, and you can make that monthly income that you need. And I know a ton of our landlords also do Turo to the travelers that stay with them. So it's kind of a double whammy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thinking about tips for those who want to get their home on your platform, would you say there's any benefit in a location? You mentioned it doesn't have to be beachfront, right? So if you're appealing to the traveler, and if you're thinking about purchasing, should you think about where a traveler might want to stay or where a traveling nurse might want to stay, and that could help get you more rentals or get you a more competitive price?
Yeah, I mean, I would start where you are. Like what I'd recommend is go to the Furnished Finder map, type in your area, and then you can kind of get an idea of what is out there. You can also, if you on the homepage, you can scroll down and you can look at the demand for an area too. So maybe you're thinking, well, I could list this property, or I can go in other different areas. You can go through and get statistics on different areas that you're interested in, and that's right on the homepage as well. So yeah, we'll give you that kind of information that you need to make that decision.
Yeah, I was looking through your website, and it looks like you guys do have a lot of resources. One thing that you had mentioned is that all of your renters connect directly to the property owners or whoever's managing it. So in terms of customer service, if there's something wrong, let's say they reach out, they connect, they agree on a property and a lease is signed, and then they go to the home and it's not what they were expecting. What types of customer service do you guys provide, if any, at all?
Yeah, I mean, we have customer service of about, about 150 people dedicated 24 hours a day, well, 7 days a week. But the lease, I mean, what we're doing, our platform really connects the landlord and the traveler. So, we obviously have reviews there so the traveler can make that best decision. And then, but ultimately, you're working directly with the landlord. So absolutely check the reviews. Now, keep in mind that every landlord that lists on Furnished Finder goes through and must pass a personal verification background check. So we're making sure that they truly are who they say they are, so there is a comfort level when you're, booking through Furnished Finder. But keep in mind, you are working directly with that landlord. So, we're not involved in that transaction. Otherwise, then we have to start charging booking fees and all of that, right? And it gets really expensive for the traveler. So we provide a lot of tools so you can connect, you can touch base, you can message, you get reviews, and the benefit of knowing that every traveler or every landlord is able to, before they list and before their property is actually viewable on the map, they've got to pass a pretty intense verification screen. But ultimately, you're working directly with the landlord. And I mentioned earlier, many landlords will request a tenant screening report. There will probably be a lease, even though it could be month-to-month lease. There would be a little bit more involved in as a tenant, as than just rather, putting in a credit card and booking, because, a landlord may want to know who you are, what you're doing, and make sure you are who you say you are as well, verify income, things like that. As if you're staying longer, then it gets into a little bit more of a traditional rental where the landlord wants to know who the tenants are. So yeah, you can expect that, but it's a very easy process for sure.
How long would you say someone should give themselves the time for booking if they were looking to rent? Is a week okay, or a little bit?
Yeah, honestly, we did a lot of work, and in the background of the slide deck for that MTR summit, it's equal, like about 20%, 20%, 20%, or a little bit more of 1 to 2 weeks, and then 2 to 4 weeks, and then 4 to 6 weeks. So anytime between 2 to 6 weeks is usually the hot spot. But you can go in and type your date, and you can look further out. And if it's a short-term type of thing, like, gosh, I got to, like, what you were talking about earlier, Brittany. I got to a place I booked on another platform, wasn't what I wanted, or I'm at a hotel now, and this is, I don't want to stay here in a hotel for that long of a period. I'd rather have more of a condo, a furnished rental that I can have my own space type of a thing. Then you come to Furnished Finder and get that here.
I'm excited to use it. You're inspiring me to take a month-long trip now.
Yeah, I mean, we're opening it up. You guys have that option. And, I think Jamal mentioned it earlier, the price difference between booking an unfurnished 12-month rental, which locks you in for a whole year, and then you've got to buy all the stuff and set up utilities. There's not much difference in price on our platform. In other platforms, they're adding booking fees, they're adding hundreds of dollars to the rent because they're managing things. You're going to see what the rents you see on Furnished Finder are direct. Like, we're not marking that rent up at all. We're not taking a piece of that. This much inventory, and to have the prices that you have, it's like going and buying wholesale. You're going direct. There's no markup like corporate housing or anything like that. Like even apartment complexes, even if you want to get a 3-month lease and get into an apartment complex, they're going to go, yeah, well, we could do that. But then you need to get furniture rental, which is another, let's say, $600 on top of the rent. So when you come to Furnished Finder, it's all included. It's all there.
I think another type of quote unquote traveler that could use the service is someone that's moving to another destination. Just thinking about my own experience a year ago, moving halfway across the country. It's a big move and you don't know the neighborhoods. So you're making your best guess on where to live, and then furnishing it is just a whole other thing to take on, so much work. So I could see someone who's interested in moving to another city, testing out a place for 2 months and then another neighborhood for 2 months to see where they ultimately want to rent or buy even.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely smart. That's what we did. My family and I moved. We rented to go and take a look at an area. And then we had another opportunity to use Furnished Finder I mentioned it before, but when we finally bought a house, and then we had to renovate the whole thing. So, we didn't live here, bought it in, let's say, March, and didn't move until, September. So we were in a Furnished Finder for that, pretty much that period of time, and it worked out great. So yeah, whatever the situation is, whether you're a traveler, whether you're a business traveler, where you're bolting on some time on a work trip, you want to get some boots on the ground to explore different neighborhoods to figure out where you go before you maybe purchase a house or get it into a longer term situation. Whatever the situation, tons of inventory to choose from. And it's a really unique time for us as travelers that kind of witness what's happening.
Yeah. So you had mentioned that part of the perks is there's no booking fees for the traveler, the renter. So what type of fee is there for the back end for the person that is listing the property on the website?
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason we have so many listings is we keep that very inexpensive as well. So say you are a landlord and you have a place, it could be a room, and it could be a condo, or it could be a small house, whatever you have. So it's $99 to list your property. So what we've done is, we've kept the bar really low. Booking fees, if you book a place on Airbnb for 2 nights or 3 nights, you're going to pay more than $99 in a booking fee. Mm-hmm. $99 is good for 12 months. So we're going to be providing the landlord with the tenant leads as they come in. The interest, the tenants can reach out to them directly, and then they can, continue through that process. But yeah, ultimately, pretty unique situation that works really well for travelers, because again, there are no booking fees, and on the landlord side, we keep the price so low. And then we also have we have all the other tools that they need. So if you're thinking, okay, well, I don't know the first thing about being a landlord. What do I do? What do I do once I find a tenant? We already have all of that there for you. So another company that we built and connected to Furnished Finder is called KeyCheck, and KeyCheck is a landlord tools platform that provides the landlord with everything they need in order to secure a tenant. So it could be tenant screening, it could be a custom lease for your state, it could be online rent payment, insurance type of product. All of that is there for you as well. So yeah, in short, quick approach is, no booking fees on the front end for the traveler, low hurdle to entry for the landlord, and then optional tools in order to secure your tenant on the back end.
That's amazing. You do make it really easy, and that's really reassuring for someone that hasn't done it before.
We do try, and it should be all there for you guys if you're interested. And I'm glad I piqued your interest. I know, we're all travelers, and we want to kind of figure out how can we travel longer and how can we travel more. If this is a good opportunity to either provide inventory for you to live in for whatever your situation, or if it will help you, fund your lifestyle, get that recurring revenue by renting to fellow travelers, you may want to check that out too. But we hope to help, and I sure do appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk to you guys today.
Absolutely. I'm seeing a ton of content about this on TikTok. I feel like if you guys aren't on TikTok, you have to get on there. It will just blow up with interest.
Yeah, it's happening. Truly, a lot of the stuff we see is organic, and it's so many people are really adopting this lifestyle. Is really they're choosing to rent furnished over unfurnished. Yeah, it's really unique. I mean, and in regards to TikTok and some of the folks, I mean, could be maybe landlords are really vocal on TikTok saying, hey, this is how much I'm making.
Yeah.
Check out Jesse Vasquez. He's a midterm rental specialist. He's a landlord. I think he's got 25 properties or so. And he's replaced his income. We were both in the medical device sales industry a while back, but he's replaced his income and then some. But he has a passion to teach this, right? So anyway, yeah, there's a groundswell of interest. I mentioned in this the midterm rental space. Traditionally, if you're a real estate investor, you would do a traditional 12-month lease, unfurnished lease, right? And now obviously Airbnb, you've got that short-term space. Well, obviously right in the middle, it's still furnished. You're still getting maybe 1.5x on the rent opportunity that you can get. Maybe not quite as high as a short-term rental, but absolutely, you're probably doubling what you can get compared to a traditional unfurnished rental.
And although it is less than you would for a short-term rental, there's not as much turnover.
Well, that's a very good point.
And not as much wear and tear on the house. People aren't coming and trashing your house because there's typically are respectable professionals working. So you're not having to replace all of the items as consistently if you were doing a short term.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. That's exactly why, as landlords, that's why we were going after the traveling professionals at the time, to where it just made sense for us. Less turnover. We didn't want to run our place like a hotel, and frankly, we didn't have time to do it. So we just said, well, let's just focus on these traveling professionals. And then once we built the platform, it grew and grew and grew. And here we are today in 2023, witnessing a global paradigm shift on how we live and travel, and all those kind of silos where before it was like, nope, you're in corporate housing, or nope, you're a business traveler, or nope, you are on vacation. It's all coming together, and we're witnessing it right now.
You said time, and that is a key word for me. I'm thinking time too. Do you see any travel agents looking on Furnished Finder and booking for people who are doing those midterm stays?
Yeah. We call them travel managers, but yes, 100%. And we do partner with a lot of them, but we do get a lot of people that are booking travel. Maybe like travel manager could be for a corporation. It could be for a company, and they're booking travel for their employees, or they're booking travel for their clients. But yes, indeed, we get that a lot. What you can do is what they do is that you can come to the map. You can either put in a housing request to where you fill out a small form, say here's where I'm going, and then landlords can look at it and go, okay, this might be a good fit, and they'll reach out to you directly. And then you just start kind of going through your prospects of properties and going, oh, well, this one looks really nice, and I'm going to pursue these three. So it's a good way to start. Or you can just kind of plug into the map itself. You can put in your search state, or you can and your area if you know your search state, or you can just omit the search state and just put in the area, and you kind of see everything that's out there.
Well, I really love the platform in general, just talking about it with you here. Of course, we knew about it beforehand just as well, looking on our own, but I feel like it's a platform where everybody can really benefit, whether you're that traveling nurse or traveling worker and need to be, somewhere, so it doesn't make sense for you to have a stable home. If you're just a casual traveler, long-time traveler, but we even talked about the entrepreneurial aspect of it as being an owner. And I think along with the cultural shift that has allowed people to, live different places and work different places for travel, of course, that has also brought on the more entrepreneurial mindset of individuals. So I think everybody can really benefit from your platform if it's something that they want to do. And I know we touched on a lot, but is there anything else that you want to tell our listener and our audience that we haven't maybe touched upon quite yet?
I mean, not specifically, other than, come check us out, compare our inventory against, maybe a traditional rental or a short-term rental. And I think you'll see something unique. I think you'll see something special And we're really kind of changing the game when it comes to, monthly furnished rentals and how to think about them and how to use them. Where before, a lot of times it was in a black box and it was only corporate housing and they would control everything. We've kind of opened that up to everybody. So yeah, come and compare and take a look. We do have a lot of resources for travelers. We have a lot of resources for landlords, and just have fun, be safe out there when it comes to travel. And gosh, if we can help, take a look, and we'll be there. The only other thing I was going to mention is we do have a podcast called Landlord Diary. So if you're interested in this lifestyle, if you're interested in funding the travel lifestyle through real estate, take a look at the Landlord Diary. We're telling stories from Furnished Finder landlords that are doing very well, that maybe you kind of hear about their story, and everybody starts somewhere. Just like the Fortune article. She started when she's 23 years old, or 24 years old. Everybody starts somewhere with one unit, right? And where will this take you? What type of lifestyle can it provide? So take a look at the Landlord Diary on Spotify or wherever, and maybe they inspire you to get started on this journey.
You have a new subscriber out of me. I'm definitely gonna go listen, and we'll link to that podcast in our show notes, and the resources that you mentioned, the landlord guide, we'll link to all of that so it's easy for everyone listening to access it.
That's fantastic.
And as we're kind of closing out here, of course, we've mentioned Furnished Finder. They know the name, but tell us the specific website so everyone knows where to go, whether you're looking to rent or actually become a landlord yourself.
Yep, it is furnishedfinder.com. So furnished, past tense, finder, singular, .com. Even if you do put an S at the end, it'll still get to us. So, but yeah, furnishedfinder.com. We're here, and we're just excited to kind of engage in this community of, again, 250,000 landlords, over 1.5 million travelers on our site every month.
That's so impressive, and we're excited to see where you go in the future. We'll be hopefully future tenants, future landlords, and we'll be right there along with your success.
And we want to hear your story on Landlord Diaries too. So,
we can't wait to be a podcast guest on there.
There you go.
Thank you, Brian, so much for coming on today.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Safe travels, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you again, Brian.
Thank you, Squatties, for tuning into our episode this week with Brian. To keep the adventures going with us, please be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Travel Squad Podcast, and send us in your questions of the week.
If you found the information in this episode to be useful, or if you thought we were just plain funny, please be sure to share it with a friend that would enjoy it too. Please subscribe, rate and review our podcast, and tune in every Travel Tuesday for new episodes.
Stay tuned for next week's episode. We have some more amazing adventures and tips in store for you.
Bye, Squatties.
Bye. See you, Squatties.